Hey everybody, hope you're having a fantastic day. I thought I'd do something a little bit different today, and I saw that Randy Troy had put out a new theory video that it has been getting a lot of great receptions for, and I'm very fascinated to go and see what the theory is about. All I know is that Joy Boy was apparently a snake. That is the basis of this theory, but I actually haven't seen a single one of his theories. So this is gonna be my very first introduction to Randy Troy, what his videos are about, how they're produced, and what exactly is happening with this Joy Boy is a snake theory. And also, please check out Randy Troy's official video on his channel. By all means, this is all completely his content. He deserves all the credit for this video.
What's up, y'all? You know what time it is? It's about to be that time.
I have the exact same trouble. It looks janky as hell editing the straw hat onto those scenes, but that's the exact same way I do it for mine. That's really funny. Okay. Conviction.
And we're back with
Wait.
another One Piece.
Hold. Randy, wait. What is what is happening here? Did you go out of your way to get all of that stuff behind you? Like, is that just you? Was this like over like 10 years? Did you just put everything into a basket? Like, what is happening here? And I also need to know what is the total like amount of money that's behind you right now? That is absurd. Like, whenever I go and see someone like for Neverworld's background or anyone else's background, they've got all the manga volumes. I would love to do that. I think it's fantastic, but it's a heavy commitment financially. So mad props for that.
Theory video. All right, this one's a big one, so if you like it,
Love the
share
gold
it around,
chain.
like, comment, subscribe, all
Yep.
that kind of stuff.
Support him.
Big spoilers for
do
anime onlys. We're getting into some heavy manga stuff here, so watch out. Big topic
I haven't.
in the community. Ever since Luffy's fruit was revealed to be anime onlys, get the hell out of here. The Hito no Mi model sun god Nika.
No
People
way.
have been bringing up
That's
the
crazy.
panel in the Calgar and Nolan flashback, where they are sacrificing Calgara's daughter Moose to the gods.
Okay.
4 of them. 4 of them. The Earth
This man's-
God, the 4.
I just did a video covering this, which is very timely that I'm seeing this right after doing that video. I think this is, after the whole reveal with the sun god, this is very valid to go and see. So I appreciate he's gone straight headfirst into this point. For this, I had it as Luffy, Dragon, Eam, and Blackbeard. That seems like pretty much the front runners for this theory. So we'll see what Randy has to go and say, but ultimately this is about Joy Boy being a snake. So we'll go and see about that. Also, I wanted to say, loving the man's bling. He's blinked out of his mind.
Forest god, the rain god, and the
So
sun god.
theatrical.
Yeah. We don't know any avatars for any of the other gods except for the sun god. To them,
Avatars. This I think this man just finished watching Moon Knight. I think I think that must be the case. I'll just point that out there.
it was Kashi, a gigantic snake.
That looks.
So the whole purpose of this theory
This is
to suggest
Moon Knight.
that Joy Boy
This
and
is Moon
potentially
Knight.
Nika, if they're supposed to be 2 different people, were not exactly human. Kind of in the same way that Chopper isn't exactly human. So I'm suggesting,
Okay.
based on a lot of snake imagery throughout the series, which yes, we're going to get into. We're going to get into panels. We're going to get into
And Snake Man as well. And that's
I'm
a big one
suggesting
too.
That the original Joy Boy was a snake.
No way. That's crazy. Randy, what is happening here? Why is my man
Now,
a snake?
Skypiea was not the only time that we had heard about the sun god. It was also a plot point during the Mother Carmel Big Mom flashback.
Okay.
Where while on Elbaf, the giants, the people of Elbaf believed in a sun god Mother Carmel used it as a tool to sort of manipulate the people of Elbaf, right?
Okay.
That the sun god was calling to her, using her soul powers to, create Prometheus and manipulate them in that fashion. But there's also a lot of Norse mythology within One Piece.
Yep.
It's actually the reason why we have One Piece. Oda's affinity for Norse mythology in the first place is what gives us One Piece.
Yes.
And one of the biggest creatures from Norse mythology is the Jormungandr, which is a gigantic snake.
That is a big snake.
Which
also a
could be
big name.
Reference to
Can't
why
pronounce
we
it.
have gigantic snakes in Skypiea. But imagine a gigantic snake like Nola, like Kashi, eating the Hito Hito no Mi model
That's
Nika,
pretty
and then
crazy.
being able to get even larger. Because the idea here is that the Jormungandr was a snake that was able to wrap itself around the entirety of the world.
Fun fact,
Interesting.
Jormungandr in Norse mythology was defeated by Thor, just
Oh.
as Nola was defeated by an El-Thor attack. Oda thinks he's slick. He is. In Egyptian
I'm glad that he went and paused it by saying he is. He's like, look at this man Oda. Look at man Oda trying to be sneaky. Look at that. You ain't fooling me. No, he's very, very slick. He's very, very clever with what he does. But I'm really appreciating so far that, the establishment of the snake being introduced throughout the entirety of the series makes a lot of sense. So let's continue. Good stuff so far, Randy. Okay.
mythology, the sun god Ra's most famous enemy, Apophis, was a giant serpent.
Yes.
So perhaps Emu, who I've said potentially has ties to Imhotep, is actually the snake in this world.
There are other mythologies at play here as well, and religion. Kuma walks around with a Bible.
Yeah.
Right? Which
Yeah.
means
He's spreading the good word.
somehow
He's spreading the good
some
word.
form of Christianity or Catholicism in this world, or at least at one point was. We've joked about it before as Brooks Fruit, the Hito Hito no Mi model Jesus, because he was able to resurrect himself. The creation story.
that's
Adam and Eve with
pretty
the
true.
snake, right? We know in
Seems
the story
legit.
that there is an Adam tree, right, which is what
Yep.
gave us the wood for the Thousand
Yep,
Setting.
the
We
good
have
wood.
the Eve
Yep.
tree, which has been heavily speculated to be what bears the fruit of the devil fruit. What if a snake, a blue snake like Nola and Kashi, came?
Is Randy ever gonna, I know I'm a bit premature, but he established the gods and then he's gonna jump over that. If he comes back to that, fair enough. That's okay. I also really appreciate him building up his points for the snake. I mean, it is the primary basis of the whole video itself, so that's totally fine. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what he has to say about that too. So we'll continue with that.
Across the Eve tree and ate from it.
Because aim
The forbidden
should be the forest one. That's
Hito
what
Hito
I
no Mi
think.
model sun god Nika, and became a sentient human. Interestingly enough, when you also go into the Kalgara and Nolan flashback, Seto or Saito, which is Kalgara's son-in-law, he ends up marrying Moose. We see him interacting with Nola, feeding them an apple, which ties into the creation story. A snake eating an apple. It's a little on the nose there, but still food for thought. Also, why does
Pun
Seto,
intended.
aka Saito, look like Luffy? All right, I'm just saying. I mean, people say that
Okay.
Vivi is
Okay.
and Rebecca are just blue and pink Nami respectively, but this man looks like Luffy. Does he have ties to the Shandian people? Is that why in volume 27 Oda drew Luffy with Skypian wings? It wouldn't be the first time that a color spread that Oda has drawn has come back to be some sort of foreshadowing. This may go deeper than we think.
What if we can go back to Skypiea and the whole
He does look a fair bit like Luffy. He really does. And it wouldn't put past Oda to have something so painfully obvious right under our noses like that. So that's very interesting to specifically draw a person this way. There mustn't be some sort of coincidence. There has to be there is a specific purpose that was been put in place to doing that. Very, very interesting. Very, very nice observation.
Calgara flashback was actually a way for Oda to show us the lives of Luffy's ancestors
Wicked hair.
400 years
Wicked.
ago.
What a lock of hair.
Look at Garp and Calgara. They basically use the same fighting style. I mean, we'd need to know how some of the descendants made it to the Blue Seas, but nonetheless, it's still kind of wild.
But I'm also still holding out hope that Luffy is part Lunarian.
I don't.
And that's the real reason for his affinity for fire. But I mean, he is now the sun god, so I guess that's why.
I don't think.
Fire also.
No, I don't think
Especially
Lunarian is
considering
a
that during
thing.
Skypiea,
It'd be pretty cool, but I
for
don't
a
know.
large portion of it, a lot of people's least favorite parts of Skypiea involve Luffy being trapped inside one of these giant snakes, which could eventually become foreshadowing because there would be another giant snake that once again has the Hito Hito no Mi, model sun god Nika, the Gomu Gomu no Mi, within it, even though it's within the possession of someone else. And an interesting parallel would be when Enel zaps Nola, right? And we get the onomatopoeia for the snake dying. And then what happens? The eyelid lifts open, and almost as if, it's awakening, Luffy looks through the eye of the snake. This man who has a form called Snake Man when he doesn't have any other forms that are named after animals. Sure, he's got attacks that are named after animals, but there's Gear 4th Bound Man, Gear 4th...
Okay. I think that whole, the way in which he's hitting home the point of the snake dying with then Luffy appearing in the next panel, it isn't a coincidence, but the way in which that Randy is saying it is this is very, very on the nose. This explains it all. I think it's just a neat little coincidence. Could be a neat little piece of foreshadowing, but I don't think it's that groundbreaking to the whole sense of Luffy and the snake. The connection there. His next point, absolutely, Snake Man being the only animal-based form that he has is very coincidental. So there should be some sort of connection there or meaning behind that. So that definitely makes a lot of sense. So let's just continue with that.
Tank Man, Gear 4th Snake Man, is there a memory, a soul within the fruit that caused Luffy to create that form in the first place? What does Luffy do after this? He goes and he fights Enel, a man who believes himself to be a god, right? Fighting a man who doesn't know that he actually is a god, a rubber man who was able to tank that zap the same way that the previous user of the fruit, this giant snake, would have been able to tank that zap, but their potential descendant, Nola, was not able to do so. So Luffy fighting Enel would almost be a way of him avenging in some sort of weird...
What is that point about saying the snake would have been able to take the zap? Is that just on the basis of the snake having that fruit? Is that the whole basis of that point? Because I'm like, where is this shown? Where is him taking the zap of this shown? That's what I'm thinking of, and I'll take his word for it that that's what he's tying into. But the avenging part here is interesting.
The descendant of his fruit. If you can follow along with that. Another cool detail is that the entrance to Shandora looks like it is a shrine to a particular deity. The eyebrows look just like Gear 5 Luffy, and the nose
that's a good observation.
Is like a snake. There's also Amazon Lily, Hebihime, Snake Princess.
Yeah.
Here you have a woman that ends up falling in love with Luffy. The Snake Princess falls in love with Luffy. There's all of the snake imagery here. Why? Above all else, what do we know about Joy Boy? That they lived during the Void Century, that they made an apology to the previous Poseidon, that they have a story that made Roger laugh at Laugh Tale, and that it is heavily implied that they were the user of this fruit. What could that apology have been? If you've seen my theory tying the sun god Nika form to the Sulong transformation and the Tamate Bako box and the pills that Hody had taken, right? This all-white transformation that taxes your body when you use it, right? Similar to what's going on with the Sulongs. Hody's body was tearing itself apart. He turned old. Luffy turned old when he exhausted himself from using...
I do not think that is a thing with the whole white transformation with him in ties with Year 5 Luffy. I think that's a bit of a stretch. But we'll continue.
Using the form, what if those pills were created to bolster the army that Joy Boy was taking against what eventually becomes the world government, these people who were committing a mass genocide on the world, right? But none of them could handle the taxation on their bodies, and they all collapse on the way.
So you're saying that is the...
And then he has to apologize because what he wanted to do, this liberator, right, which goes back to the Amazon Lily thing, the slaves, the hoof of the soaring dragon, right? Does Kaido play into any of this? I believe that all of this is a game of telephone, that over the years, it's all about a blue snake. That they don't really remember, even 400 years later, which is where the Calgar and Nolan flashback takes place, right? They believe that this gigantic blue snake is the avatar of the sun god, of Joy Boy, right? Maybe Nika was a snake, but Joy Boy was a mink. Maybe Nika was a mink, but Joy Boy was a snake. And then there would be the reason why we have Sulong transformations in the first place. Maybe the all-white transformation is lineage factor from the minks retained within the fruit. We don't know, you know. But
that is the most true thing, I think, out of the entire thing. Is we don't know. Like, we can have fun speculating about all this good stuff, but at the end of the day, it's like, we don't know until it happens. So that's for true. That's for true.
Why do the minks look like Luffy when he transforms?
It does.
Hody look
but
like Luffy
I don't
when
think
he transforms?
they
Why
are
does
a direct
Hody look
connection.
Like a mink when they transform? It all kind of ties together.
And keep in mind that moonlight is just reflected sunlight.
More on the point of the confusion potentially between a giant snake and Kaido, right, is Kaido's name, right? It's been a long-standing Japanese theory that the characters of Kaido actually have the characters of Joy Boy within them.
Interesting.
Which would generally be lost by, an English viewer
That's neat.
or reader of One Piece. Now, I think that that's because Kaido was given that name. It's not his real name.
Oh,
right? I think that Rocks gave him that name, his mentor, and that's why he eventually gives King his name, right? Changes his name because it's like an affinity. It's something that he picked up from his previous mentor.
Then what is his
it's
name?
Very possible that Rocks may have believed that the fish fruit model Azure Dragon was the fruit in question to bring Joy Boy back, and then that's why Kaido ended up with that fruit, because there may have been some miscommunication. Telephone, if you say over the years it starts as here this blue snake man, right, saved the world, and then there's the Void Century, and the next person tells
I
a
see
story,
where you're
next
going.
person tells a story, next person tells a story.
That's
until
very...
you get 400 years later too.
That's very fascinating. That is a very fascinating point. Joy Boy has been of course, a big topic with Kaido in talking to Luffy in his whole life. So it would make a lot of sense that he had a lot of weight on his shoulders if he was given this sort of this destiny from Rocks himself, naming him that way, that he would of course pursue becoming Joy Boy, or at least finding the answers to Joy Boy himself. So that's a very, very fascinating point, and I really do appreciate that.
The Nolan and Calgar flashback, now they're sacrificing.
But I wonder what his
this
name actually
gigantic
was.
Blue snake, because
something very
don't remember
sweet.
the true
It's a very
story,
cute name.
But they need saving, and they know that somehow the sun god needs to come back. Joy Boy needs to return. It's part of the prophecy.
What if his real name was Randy? I think that would pretty much make him implode. Honestly. Also, yeah, if Kaido's real name was anyone else's name, like your name, that'd be pretty mind-shattering. It's like, hi, my name is Luke. It's like, oh my god, what? Oh man.
Right?
Okay, but I really like that point.
400 years later, not 800 years later. And then you have the celestial dragons that have the crest. They call themselves dragons. Like maybe there's something there. But ultimately, I really think that this is an allegory for Chopper. Chopper was a reindeer that ate a human fruit
true.
that we don't know the model of yet. Maybe it's
Christmas.
Who knows? Sulong Chopper at some point.
That'd be pretty cool. But
I'm sure it would have happened by now. But either way,
crazy reveals have happened.
I think that this will all be a message about inclusivity.
Absolutely.
That the message of One Piece is really one piece. P-E-A-C-E.
Okay, interesting.
Right? Chopper wasn't accepted by humans.
That's right, and it's all about freedom.
It also wasn't accepted by reindeers.
And the fishmen too.
Right.
That's a big part of it too. Is of course the fishmen wanting to assimilate, want to be a part of the whole greater community of the world, and how they've been ostracized and put into Fishman Island, like they cannot explore. So yeah, of course, and all the themes as well is all about freedom, like being included, being accepted, peace. So that makes a lot of sense. But I never really had that point of the One Piece being actually like about peace. So that's very, very nice point by Randy.
So here we have potentially this snake, and think of cute little Nola from the Calgara and Nolan flashback, right? Singing and dancing with music notes coming out of them, spreading joy. Think about that. Every time you see that snake.
Also, yeah, I was going to say, snakes are controlled by music. You know how you have the snake charmers with their flutes and everything like that, controlling the snakes. It could be the same with the drums. That's a very fascinating point. I'll see if he maybe has that connection there, because I've made that connection watching this, and I think that might be a key point that he should add.
Oda actually drew musical notes coming out of them.
Oh.
Almost drew the snake as if it was smiling. Now, if they ate a Hito no Mi, right, even the model Sun God Nika, they wouldn't quite be snake anymore, and they wouldn't quite be human either, which means they would be like Chopper without a classification. They wouldn't be a mink because they'd be a reptile, right? So they wouldn't be necessarily accepted by them, but potentially, you know.
So is crocodile? No.
Wouldn't be a fishman, right? Because can't breathe underwater unless there's, you know, the resin theory that you're able to coach yourself, you know, like a ship and go underwater. See if that ever, you know, comes to fruition. But also still not quite
a little bit
human,
cursed. That picture Chopper there, don't appreciate that.
Fishmen, right? But they were the liberator of the world, right? Because they wanted acceptance.
Oh man, he ate that.
Even if Joy Boy wasn't a snake, I don't think that they were actually human. For years, people have drawn comparisons to Sun Wukong.
Well, yeah,
it's obviously
absolutely
a big part of Dragon Ball, right? Maybe Nika or Joy Boy is the actual avatar, the real Sun Wukong in the story, and then we'll see that one of them, you know, was potentially a monkey, right? And then the other one is a snake, maybe, but I don't...
No way. Are you telling me that this man named Monkey D. Luffy has ties with monkeys? I think that's too crazy of a theory. I don't see any connection there. I think that is... It's a bit too much. I know about that.
They are a human eating this human fruit. Because it's just a stronger story of liberation and acceptance if the person that's freeing everybody was an outcast that wasn't accepted.
Yes. Like every shonen.
Maybe they died. And then everybody realized what they were trying to do. And then unfortunately, the fishmen had to hide underneath the sea, and the minks had to hide up on top of Zoe and wait 800 years for Luffy to show up and allow them to repopulate on the surface. But that's going to do it, guys. I really love this theory. I love the idea of Joy Boy.
I really do appreciate it. I think it's great.
In the comments what you think of this.
Support Randy.
If you like it.
Go over there, support him.
And big shout out to channel artist Dan
Great art.
For his mock.
Very, very nice art. Fantastic. I love it when people do fan arts and stuff like that.
Love it. Love it. Thanks, Dan. You can follow him in the links below.
Do that.
And I'll catch everybody next time. All right. Later.
Okay. All right, Randy. That That is a very interesting theory. It's out there, but it's not too out there to be like just ridiculous. There is enough imagery and foreshadowing and establishment of snakes being a part of the whole grand story, and especially in the Skypiea arc, which a lot of this is now getting tied back to really validate a lot of these points. Some of the points, I think they're a little bit kind of stretching a bit much, but that's the same for any sort of other theory. Like, I could say whatever I wanted to, and it's gonna be parts like, yeah, you're a bit stretching it there. It's just the nature of things. We have to add some extra points to really validate things. And there is some genuine connections there with Luffy with the snake. The fact that the character itself looks a lot like Luffy's interesting. So a lot of these points I do agree with, and I think I can surely understand why a lot of people really like this theory. And also just the way that it was put together, I really appreciate Randy's work in putting forward his points. I also appreciate the way in which he says it. It's very, very, very theatrical. It's a slow, methodical, impactful way of speaking. It's very engaging, so I really do like that. I'm quite the opposite. I'm pretty out there, and that's just the nature of things. It looks like Randy. And also when I was chatting with him on the charity stream with Joy Girl, it was the same thing. I mean, that's how Randy is, it seems. So I really do like that, and the way in which he put everything together, I thought it was fantastic. I'm also still very, very intimidated by his background. I need answers. Go check out his channel, support his content. This is my first introduction to Randy Troy's videos, and I'm very happy with it, and he deserves all the support that he gets. So please go and support him. If you guys enjoyed my thoughts on this, be sure to go and like and subscribe to the channel. If you have any other theories that you'd like me to go and do this sort of video about, please let me know in the comment section. I thought this was very neat. And I love being able to hear other people's thoughts on like what's gonna happen with theories, discussions. I think this is all fantastic. The reason why I got into making videos in the first place was because I wanted to go and chat with more people about it. So if this is a way for me to, you know, discuss and find out more info in regards to One Piece, that's all a big win for me, so I'm really keen to go and do that. And it also helps me out because, you know, just hearing that one nugget of information from one person can really help bring out a lot more ideas. For instance, with Randy talking about the whole music aspect, I think music controlling snakes could be a part of this too, that could be added to this theory. So let me know more videos you'd like me to go and react to in the comment section. I hope you all have an awesome day. Take care, and I'll see you all on the next one.